right? Okay, this is your practical module, right? So this is curriculum for the module. Usually this is not available for you, but I will show you. So basically this contain 30 hours of practicals and 20 hours of independent learning. 20 hours of independent learning means you have to be learning by yourself. You have to go through the internet, read books, all of these things, and learn about for these things. For example, if I told you about boring, you should be engine boring machines. Then you should go into internet and find out what type of machines available, how these things are to work. So these sort of things, right? How to purchase one, what sort of a details you need, or what sort of a specification you have to check in order to buy one of these things. Those are the things you need to actually consider in this module. So here so we have 1 2 3 4 5 uh, modules and one factory visit. At the moment factory visit is not possible. The way everything is going on, it will not be possible. So for these four modules, what we do is we usually divide the students into four groups. At the moment we have 29 students, so that means we should be able to divide into four groups, and somehow divide into four groups. Each group will be handling one section. So one group will be working on an engine, other group will be working on the gearbox, others will be working on the differential, and others will be working on the running gears. So this is how the practical is going on as a practical groups. So I don't know whether you still you didn't get any practical groups, because the same reason so there's no point of giving a practical group for a online session, right? So instructors will be sharing. Batuan, Batuan, make sure to mute your phones or laptops or whatever you're using. Right. So as I told you earlier, there are four main components. We'll be dividing into four groups, and each group will be conducting doing one section. So basically, the idea here is you'll be dismantling a complete engine, and you'll be reassembling it after measuring for all the parameters, and reassembling it up to the specification provided by the manufacturer. So after assembling the whole engine, you should be actually starting. So you'll be dismantling a running engine, and you should be able to completely assemble it uh, to a running engine again. That is the idea, at least. At the moment, I'm not exactly sure whether we will be able to do that. Anyway, so I'm hoping that okay, so I hope that you are very familiar with LMS, right? I'm expecting you are sorry. I'm expecting you are familiar with LMS. So in LMS, if you go to your LMS, you should be able to find automobile engines and components module, course code ETA 212 PC1, right? In that, introduction to automobile workshop. This is where we are discussing today. Once you go to the introduction session, you have two sections. Automobile. First one is lectures. There will be two lectures. First one is today, and the second one will be on Friday evening. So first one is today, as I told you earlier. So first one is the one we are going to discuss today, and there will be a tutorial. But tutorial is not going to be based on what we are doing today, because today we are going to discuss about the basic workshop regulations and rules. So this module is very much in conjunction with your workshop, automobile workshop practices and a management module. So the very few sections will be again repeating this, so I'm not going to be very comprehensive on some cases because you are repeating them over there, but some parts are very much necessary here in order to start the module. So what I'm planning to do is, today we will be discussing on the first section, that is the laboratory guidelines and lesson 1. So laboratory guidelines is what those are the general guideline related to our automobile workshops and laboratories. And lesson 1, we will be discussing about your safety and what you should be wearing in the practicals. So that's one, your lesson number 1. So tutorial 1 is actually not based on lesson number 1. Tutorial lesson 1 is actually regarding the next lecture, that is actually introduction to the workshop tools. So what I need you to do today is, once we completed this first lecture, uh, there will be no questions or anything, because this is like a very much introductory sessions. I'm also getting to know you. You are also going to get to know me, and you are going to getting ready to come to the workshop and do the practicals. That's what we are planning to do here. So tutorial 1 is actually going to be based on the next class. That means introduction to automobile workshop tools. So uh, here, before even I start, I need to say something. When you are in the classroom, you should be using your technical terms, right? Everything should be discussed in technical terms. For example, I will just explain something single. Unfortunately, I don't know what's the Tamil word or anything. So for a socket range, right? One tool is socket range. So in socket range, the correct term is actually the socket range. Instead of socket range, most of the students will say caladin, right? So those sort of things will not be actually accepted. Everything should be uh, technical terms. You have to use the technical terms. You should know the names, right? Because this module actually have practical exams. You should be able to name the even all the tools in the workshop. Right? You should be able to identify all the tools in the workshop, because one of your job criteria in future will be actually managing a workshop. So if you are managing a workshop, you should be able to go and purchase the tool. If you don't know the name of the tool, and if you don't know how to use it and what are the uses of it, how are you going to order it, right? That's one of the main reasons for having this module. So tutorial 1 for you to do on the next 2 days, it's not a big deal. You just go through this introduction to automobile workshop tools. This is actually one link. You just can go through this link and find out, learn about something a little bit more about these videos, through this video about the tools, and fill the form. Form means it's actually a discussion form. So before we start the next class, we can actually discuss, and from there onwards, we can actually start the module, right? Since this is yes, we discussed about the yes, we discussed about the content. Uh, so this is how your assessments going to be. So assessments. So in this module, we have like a mid-semester exam, laboratory report, and end-semester examination practical. Right. So in that practical examination, you will be given anything, gearbox or something. You should be able to dismantle, assemble, find out a problem, something like that. Mid-semester examination probably will be a practical. Laboratory report also there. So everything you do. So here we said that you'll be doing a automobile engine, gearbox, differential, and running repair. So all 4 of these will be put into one report. Whatever you do, you have to take photos, every step, explain how you did it, why you did it, and what are the tools you used, everything. So explain everything and put it into one report and submit that report. That report carries 10 marks out of your final grade, right? So that's very important. This is one of the most important 10 marks you can actually get, and it's very easy to get as long as you know the correct terms and everything. You get that 10 marks. And the end semester exam is a little bit hard because you should be able to answer on that point. So there are some, for example, if I ask you to show where is the water pump of the particular engine. So there will be some, so in the practicals you will be doing it for some other engine, and in the exams we will be asking, okay, can you show me the engines? If engine water pump, you should be able to show me the water pump. And you, during your practical, you should be able to understand how to identify the water pump of an engine, right? So these sort of things you need to learn in this module. So you have to pay attention very well. And when you are doing practical, you have to be very thorough in the practical, and you have to be active in the practical. You should not let others to do and sit somewhere else because others are complaining, and you don't think like you should be able to somehow complete the what you call this report and submit, then you'll be able to answer everything. It's not like that. It's very practical and very hands-on. And since you are doing it with me, it's going to be a bit difficult when it comes to practical works, right? Okay, that's enough for introduction, I guess. um, we'll move back to, just before we go there, you almost, right. So in automobile workshop or automobile, any of the classrooms, we have any of the laboratories, we have some guidelines, right? We have some guidelines. So you have to perfectly follow these guidelines. If you do not follow these guidelines, the technical officer or anyone, any staff member in charge of that laboratory, or who any staff member who's working in the laboratory, has the power to throw you out of that laboratory, right? One of the main things, laboratories are only open from 8:30 to 4 p.m. Right? If you want to keep them open after that, you have to get a special permission. But um, and you are not allowed to use any sort of a mobile devices inside the workshops or laboratories unless it's actually permitted by the particular lecturer or the laboratory in charge person, right? And you should be dressed appropriately, right? Dressed appropriately means you have to wear proper cloth that actually covers yourself means actually for safety. And you should always wear shoes, right? If it required to use safety shoes, definitely you should use the safety shoes. But any other time, everywhere else, you should wear shoes. If you're coming into laboratory, you should wear shoes. Without shoes, you can't come inside the laboratory. That's actually a safety reason. That's actually a safety reason. If something dropped in your leg, we don't want leg to be damaged. So that's why these rules are there. So there are a lot of regulations here, and you can actually follow these. Laboratory operation time is 8:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. That's the typical working time. But if you need for any activity, any sort of like a academic activity, if you need any support for any academic activities, and if you can get the permission from the head of the department through your particular subject coordinator, then at that time laboratory can be kept open. In addition to that, you can come and work at any time in the laboratory as long as laboratory is actually free, right? As long as the laboratory is actually free, you can come and work at any time, especially in automobile lab. If you wish to come and do any thing, and if you want to study something in some components or some practical or something, so you are more than welcome, and you can come and do it. But first you need to check with the staff members there, if they are happy and if they can actually accommodate you, then you are more than happy to come and do it. Right. So this document is actually this one is actually available. I already uploaded this one into your, so it's actually uploaded to your lectures module. So laboratory guideline is the first one. Please go through this and please not please, actually follow them. There's no please involved in that. You had to follow it, otherwise don't come. If you can't follow them, please don't come to the laboratories. Yes, okay. So next we'll go to the safety briefing, right? Introduction and safety briefing. So that's actually the safety briefing. Now we will be more, sorry, that's actually the introduction. Now we'll move to the safety briefing part. Okay, so I know already you have been working with these engines in your A levels and everything. So no one can say that I don't know this, I don't know that, or something like that, right? So you have already had the exposure in this. So it's a matter of how you're going to use them. So as I told you earlier, this is the content, and one important thing in the whole module is uh, personal safety, right? Personal safety, one of the main important aspect of the module is learning your personal safety. Let me give you an example. If you go to a normal workshop means something you call it as a garage, or a garage next to your house or something, without any standard or anything. They never wear like a proper suit or anything, no shoes, no gloves, and the guy is wearing uh, gloves covered with grease and everything, right? But if you go to a proper automobile workshop, right? Proper automobile workshop does not have any of this. People are clean, they're wearing clean clothes and they wear shoes, and everything is very orderly arranged, so can find anything, and safety is one of the paramount there. So something like that is actually called as a workshop. So once you uh, graduate from there, once you graduate from here, you should be able to actually, you should actually work in a standard like this. So teaching is one of our main concerns here. So that's one of the main reasons. So this dirty, sort of like very unorganized arrangement of the garages is one of the reasons for mechanics to have very low social standards, because people don't see them as a important people, because how they actually work. So it's not actually like that. You have to be very concerned about your personal safety as well as the environmental safety. So because of that, you need to actually, in case of your safety, you have to wear the protective clothing, protect eye protection, ear protection, foot protection, and hand protection and head protection. So all of these things should be met in order to work in the workshop. So and this is actually like a discipline. You have to learn these things. If you it will be difficult when you're beginning, when you start this learning or using these things, it will be very hard. But after some time you used to it, and you start, your brain start to uh, accept them, and you can actually use them for your own advantage, right? So long term advantage, just think about the long term advantage of using these things. Okay, so evaluation is like this. So as I told you earlier, this is right. So we will start with this thing. Today, what I'm going to discuss is about the safety inside the workshop. This is a very important aspect. So first thing is, you should be wearing a protective cloth. In workshop, overall is a must. Overall means that, you know what is overall, right? That the blue color dress, that's always a must. So overall can be either one piece or two piece. This is one of the main things we need to discuss actually. So now we uh, two piece overall is easier to wear. One piece overall is a little bit hard to wear, but easy to wear. So now we are little by little moving into two piece overall. So hopefully you will also be wearing a two piece workshop overall. So it should be actually having with a thick material, so no scratches or anything will be coming, and heat will not actually damaging you. So that sort of things you have to consider. Design in a way that it could be removed fast in case of emergency, right? Sometimes because of the chemical baths, for example, if your cloth is wet by hot engine oil, You should be able to easily or and fastly remove it, right? That's one of the main reasons. Normal clothing is not acceptable for workshop, especially the clothes made out of stretchy materials. Do anyone know why stretchy material clothes are not acceptable inside the workshops? Answers? Anyone? Why stretchy material clothes are not permitted inside the workshops? 39, can you answer? 39? Okay. 28, Herat.
Yes, sir.
So why stretchy materials are not allowed to be wear inside the workshops, or should not be wear inside workshops?
What? Sorry, sir.
So why stretch material, something like t-shirts,
Ah,
why they are not a good fit inside the workshop?
because that's material sometime will join with the machines. Then that body part also going with that machine part and injured. That
Yes.
T-shirt not remove.
Yes. So since it's a stretchy material, it will actually stretch and somehow ended up pulling your hand or you also into the engine or any machinery component. So that's why it's not advisable. And yes, you should be very groomed well there, very well. So long hair and beard is very hazardous. So let's see how our students are going to act on this. Usually, you guys are going to have long hair, beards, and very difficult to work with. And jewelries must be removed as well as avoid accidents. Right. So this is actually showing a short-sleeved one-piece overall. This is a one-piece overall. Two-piece overall is very much similar to what you know as a shirt and a trouser. That's something looks like a shirt and a trouser. And girls and boys with long hair should expected to wear a bun hair style as a safety precaution. That's also you need to follow safety eyewear. This is one of the things most people actually do forget to wear. So whenever you are working in the workshop, you should always wear goggles. Right? You should always wear goggles. We have two types of goggles available in the workshop. So if you are a person wearing glasses or a spectacle or some like me, then you may not be very much comfortable with goggles like this. But we have another type of goggles that you can wear over your glasses, so you can use something like that. While working with the machinery such as grinders and drills, safety wear is very important as well. So if you are using any power tools, this is again very important. Right. Next one is gloves. So safety gloves. So again, coming back to this overall. So when you are coming to do this practical in our class, right, yes, here as you asked, you are supposed to buy the overall. You are supposed to buy the overall. I will explain at the end of this presentation. I will explain about that part. That part actually. So safety gloves. So now safety gloves, when it comes to safety gloves, there are mechanics gloves separately. Separate mechanic gloves are there, right? So these are actually used to protect your hand from shaft surfaces, especially, right? And the vehicle components could be hot, so to save your hands, we actually have this. There are few types of gloves are actually available. One is actually these permanent or uh, very something like this. These gloves are actually permanent gloves that you can use, wash and use. They are very good and they are very expensive. In addition to that, you can actually buy disposable gloves which are cheap, but in long term they are also not that cheap. So we have latex gloves, vinyl gloves, polyurethane gloves, and nitrile gloves. So latex surgical gloves is the one usually available everywhere in the country. Those are not actually suitable for working in the vehicles. They will actually tear very easily. So these vinyl, polyurethane, and nitrile gloves are preferred. The price will be actually a little bit higher. But if you go to a gloves set of gloves like this, the one shown here, the one actually shown here. Sorry, the cat sort of gloves. This is a branded glove, so this will be quite expensive. But you can buy a cheaper gloves from like 400 rupees to it goes up to like 2000 something like that. But that's more than enough. But we try to provide as much as possible. Uh, um, but again, due to cost and environmental benefit, because if we use these polythene gloves or these polyurethane gloves or nitrile gloves, these are actually type of a plastic which we do not want to return back to the environment. So we prefer if you can bring your own gloves. So we don't want you to share the gloves. Don't share the gloves. It's not actually a good idea to share the gloves, especially because you are sweating and sweat will be inside. Especially these days, it's a very bad idea. So we expect all of you will be having your own gloves in order to do the practical related to this automobile related module. So you'll be working in the vehicle, you'll be welding. So these sort of things you can actually purchase a set of gloves. Next part is actually the head safety. So for head safety, we usually use something called a bump cap. The bump cap is actually goes under the cap, so not similar. It's somewhat different from the cap used by the used in the construction industry. It's just like a hard shell that goes over our head, because we do not expect anything to be fallen on our head. The only thing we can actually expect is we bump our head can be bumped into something like a suspension component or something underneath the vehicle when we are working under vehicle while the vehicle is on a ramp or a two shift or something like that. So to provide the safety in such case, we use something called a bump cap. The bump cap is actually shown here. The uppermost photo, the smaller one is actually the bump cap. It goes inside the cap, that usual cap we usually use. So instead of that, we have something called a bump cap. So we do not expect you to buy such things. Bump cap is not a definite thing you need to buy. Safety shoes, yes, it's very important. Safety shoes is one of the most important aspect of the safety or aspect or any component. So safety shoes you should always have, and you should always wear safety shoes. Automotive safety shoes are quite similar to workshop safety shoes. Toes and shores must be protected with steel cover. So the front and the back of the shoe is actually covered with the steel. But one difference between the normal workshop tools and the automobile workshop tools is they need to have a rubberized bottom, right? Rubberized bottom, they need to have rubberized bottom. So this rubber bottom actually helps you in oil spills and provide more grip. And in addition to that, it actually provides you a extra safety when you are working with high voltage vehicles, because you have a gap between your ground and between the ground and yourself, right? So that actually be additional safety. So next part is actually your ear safety, right? One part you actually you means most people do not consider is how much it's actually using these machineries working inside the vehicles is actually affecting our hearing ability. So I don't know whether you guys know about this. So in Sri Lanka, the highest, usually the limit is around 110 decibel for vehicles to be, so exhaust note should be less than 110 decibels. So 110 decibels, the 110 decibels is actually very high, right? 110 decibels is very high note. So, something like even, so even if you have like a, what you call this, beat mufflers and everything, the police can't actually ride because it's 110 decibels. 110 decibels. A musical show is around 128, 125, something like that, right? So this 110 decibel is very high, but unfortunately the Sri Lankan standards do not cover this part very well. Anyway, in our case, so even an usual vehicle, when it is traveling, a normal vehicle without any modifications or anything, it will generate around 70 to 80 decibel noise when it is traveling on a road. That's alone, that's only created by the wind noise and the tire noise, right? So that, so like 70 is something you can actually bear. 70 is something you can actually bear. Once it goes beyond that, it's going to be very irritating. And uh, above 110, right, above 110, there's a risk of actually losing the hearing. So this has to be concerned, this has to be concerned, this is a concern, and this has to be addressed in our workshop practices, and we have to be very concerned about it. So if you have been, and I'm sure you have been in the workshop, when the, for example, if you are working in the workshop, if one person is, so it's actually closed quarters, so it's a closed area. If one person is operating a grinder inside the workshop, you can feel how irritating it is, right? It's actually hurting your ears. So you have to be very concerned about this. So this image actually showing a usual intensity levels that available in day-to-day life, but we need to keep them very low as much as possible. So if you need more details, it's available, and additional reading also I already attached here. Uh, the idea I'm trying to give you here is, as a mechanical or as a technician or as a technical person, you have to be very concerned about these noises. So as a solution for that, we actually use something called a noise protection, right? Noise protection solution. So these are actually something that overlooked by most of the technicians, but it's a must, right? It's a must. So noise reduction rating (NRR) is most widely used for standard measurement. So you can actually read about these things. I'm pretty sure you learn about these things your personal safety module. So and here we actually need to follow that. We actually have to follow that. Additional readings also provided here for your benefit. You can go through that. And what I'm trying to say here is, when we are doing the practicals, you definitely, right, if you are using any equipment, any machine, if you are working with the engine while it is running, make sure to wear the earplugs, right? Make sure the earplugs. So earplugs or ear muffs. So you can see there are like few different types of ear protection devices available here. These large ones, quite large ones, you can see somewhat similar to a headphone. Those are known as ear muffs, right? Those are known as ear muffs. Those are very comfortable actually. They are very comfortable to wear, as long as they are from a good design and everything. They are very comfortable to wear. And the other one, the one you can see actually something like a blue color with the image on your right side, the most right image. This one, wait. So this one here, I guess you can see it. This one here actually known. This is actually a dispenser. So these are, so these yellow colored ones, these small ones on the below, these are actually known as earbuds, right? These are disposable earbuds. Disposable earbuds that you can actually put in your ear. So these things actually come in a box or some container like this. You can actually take one or two. They come as two pairs, and you put it in your ear. Then your ears will be actually safe from the noise. And over here, these earbuds, right? These earbuds are somewhat similar, somewhat in the middle of these disposable and these disposable earbuds and uh, ear muffs, which actually can be cleaned and used again and again for few times. But if you are trying to use for permanently, if you are trying to buy something for permanent use, you have to use these ear muffs. Otherwise, you can actually temporary works. You can buy something like ear buds. Earbuds are not expensive, but once it come to like personal, once it come to a lot of things, a lot of earbuds, it's going to be expensive. So currently, when you are doing any practicals in our workshop at the moment for this module, this is not one of the main concerned areas because it's not going to be that noisy because mostly you will be using hand tools to do this module, so it's not a big concern here, right? So yeah, so I'm expecting you got some idea what is the safety related to this, so you have to be very concerned about your ears, eyes, and your body, well, mainly yourself. So you definitely have to wear a overall. Definitely you have to wear the overall, and you should wear uh, safety shoes. That's those two are definite. You always have to wear those things. Sorry, as long as you are doing a practical in the workshop. And uh, if you are coming to the workshop or automobile lab anytime else, you can't come inside the workshop or automobile lab if you are not wearing the shoes. You are not allowed to come inside as a safety precaution. So make sure that you wear the shoes every time, right? Anyway, so why I taught you these things, why are you discuss these things about with you, because you need to use these things. So inside the workshop, right? Inside the workshop, when you are working, you should actually wear overalls, pair of safety shoes, and pair of workshop gloves. So these things you need to have. So basically, you need to purchase your own overall. We used to provide them last 2 years, but for your batch onwards, we will not be able to provide because it's too expensive, and with the budget cuts, it's not possible at the moment. So pair of safety shoes and pair of workshop gloves. So overall, will be cost something from 1,500 to 2,500. What I suggest you to do is don't buy. So if you can just come, you can actually collect the money and we can order for you through any supplier. So we have some suppliers we can actually order for you guys. How many orders, what sizes we need, and you can check the sizes and everything. You can order, right? So safety shoes. At the moment, we have certain number of safety shoes which the safety shoes, but we need more safety shoes. So if it is possible, please buy a set of safety shoes because when you're going to the training, you are going to need these again, right? So anyway, you can buy it and you can use it, and so you can go to the training. When you're going to training workshop, training places will not be providing these things. You have to buy them. And pair of workshop gloves. Overall and workshop gloves is a must, right? Safety shoes is an addition, but if you can wear it, it's very advisable. I actually prefer if you wear it. And everything else, eyewear, ear protection equipment, if you any other safety items, we can actually provide eye protection. We have goggles, enough number of goggles for you guys to wear, and we have ear protection equipment. That means ear muffs and ear buds we actually have. So if you need like a I just forgot to say one thing. If you are concerned about the noise very much, instead of using just one, the most uh, highest noise reduction you can actually get by combining a ear muff with a earbud. So that means you had to put earbuds, then you put ear muff over it. You'll be good to go and you can do anything. But in case somebody makes noise, you won't be here. That's another concern. So this is the part I was actually giving you introduction. So uh, when we come to the practicals, right? When we come to the hands-on practicals, you guys need to have. So if it is possible, right? So Madhushan is here, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Madhushan, what I need you to do is, right? You can you prepare me a list of students list and what is their sizes of the overall size and safety shoe sizes, right?
Okay.
Overall size and safety shoe sizes. So when it comes to safety shoe sizes, you have to tell me one particular number, right? So there are European standard numbers, there's US numbers, there's Asian numbers. You have to just give me one number. You can't just give like this number, won't work. So you just select one number. I think European Union sizes is okay. So we can convert it into any other number. So select that. Then I will check how many the what we have and what we need to order, right? Based on that, we will discuss. So in the overall department, uh, we have decided last semester. We have decided from this semester onward, we will be going for 2 piece overalls rather than 1 piece overalls. Last year we used 1 piece overalls, but from here onwards we'll be using 2 piece overalls because it seems like the logical solution, and for us it's actually quite easy to use actually. So because of that, we will be going for uh, 2 piece overall from next semester, this semester onwards. Okay, so Manshan, are you clear?
Yes, sir.
So you have the name list, right? Or I
Okay.
can email you.
Okay,
So
okay, sir. I will.
yeah, so you type what is number or yeah, your size and what's your I mean your overall size and your shoe size and workshop gloves. That's up to you. At the moment, we are not actually interfering with that. You can purchase by yourself. It's a personal preference. It's a personal preference, but we prefer those two. So this overall and safety shoe, if you can wear the same, it's actually easier for us. Okay, so that's it for introduction today, right? That's it for introduction today. Next day, that means Friday, we will be discussing about the tools, right? About tools. But tools means what are the tools and equipment we should have in a workshop. So this is what we're going to discuss in the next class. But instead of just discussing, instead of me just talking about everything, blah blah blah, it's too quite bored. Right? It's a practical module, so I need it to be a little bit practical. So that's why I change this to something like this. So next semester, sorry, next class, what you need to do is today you will be going through this video, right? You will be going through this video, and I'm pretty sure you might, all of you might have seen some workshop. You have some idea what are the tools needed, right? So uh, whatever you think like need to be having in the workshop, you can actually input here. You go to the tutorial one. Then once you go to the tutorial one, you have according to your view what are the tools and equipment needed for automobile workshop. That services and maintenance vehicles, right? So that services and maintenance vehicles, not manufacturing. Services and maintenance. That's all I'm asking. So then you can actually go to this answer. It should be put over here. Add a new topic. In the subject, you have to put your registration number. When you are, as mentioned here, when you are replying, use your registration number as the subject. So this one is your registration number and give me your answer here. So all of the answers will be lined. So will be arranged in something like a blog. So I can actually discuss when we are discussing. I can go through each answer. Okay, this is good. This is not good, right? And I am expecting 29 answers, right? I'm expecting 29 answers. And you have 2 days to do that. You can read anything, you can read any books, any details related to any other uh, things related to workshop tools, automobile workshops, modern workshop, what you need, anything, right? to add everything. So I know where after that, I'm just looking at this, I know what is your level and how much of knowledge you have related to this. So we can actually prepare like a baseline. From there onwards, you can actually build everything up. So that's the idea of this tutorial. So this is a discussion class, but I expect 29 um, answers, right? 29 answers. Whoever is not going to be answers here will be the point, or will be asked questions directly in the lecture, right? So you better answer, put your answers over here. Otherwise, I know what are the numbers missing, so I can actually ask. Right. So that's it for today. Any questions? Okay, seems there are no questions. I don't think there will be any questions because very simple part only we discussed. So anyway,
So,
so yes.
there is a LMS login problem. So we email the problem, but solution not come yet.
Mhm. How many of you are having this issue?
Actually, I think there are our peoples also have our students 5 or 6, I think.
Okay, you guys have my email address, right?
Okay, sir.
So if you can't log into the tutorials here, right? If you can't log into the LMS, then I expect your answers into my official emails, right? Into my official email. That's Trantigat Tech at
Can you put the email, sir?
sorry.
Can you put the email, sir?
Yeah, 1 second. Okay, I'm also having LMS. Yeah. Andigattech.jfn.ac.lk. So you guys can see this, right? Whiteboard email. So this is my email. So you can share if you have, you can just send it to me. If you do not have this, if you do have this. So if you have this LMS problem, you can send this email to me. You know that the LMS problem is your issue, not university issue, right? So it's actually your fault. If you forget that login, that's your problem. So LMS, yes, I know there's some problem because was informed to us that it will take at least around 1 week to fix this because there's a lot of students having this issue. But I don't know how many are having here. So those guys who are having this can send it to this email. Okay. So any more questions? Okay. If there are no other questions, I'd like to end it here. And yeah, so stay at home, stay safe, and see you on Friday. Bye.
Thank you, sir.